Shots to my producers, King Jones, it's a hop. Hey, y'all with the alley-oop, I threw him up a lot. Far from a corny nigga, I'm the hottest shot of cop. I had to boss up for a check, move my fam up out the jets, draft some key players in my set, sauce with a blue cheese dabber ranch. I am a club member, you a guest. Speak of my name, better put respect. Step under me, gotta come correct. Fuck who got now or who got up next. Yeah. Hey, y'all, the Prophet Charlie Black, a deadly combination. It's been long overdue, I know the streets been waiting. Which takes a lot of patience, cause you never rush greatness. This was for the record, but going down history in the making. Hey, y'all, the Prophet Charlie Black, a deadly combination. It's been long overdue, I know the streets been waiting. Which takes a lot of patience, cause you never rush greatness. This was for the record, but going down history in the making.
Hey, the Prophet, Charlie Black, Black Prophet, that's a fact. Going down in history and it's a fact. It's a deadly combo, niggas know that. Prophet, that's a fact. Black Prophet, on the bottom of the map. Atlanta, Georgia to Florida. We up in them waters, it's sombra. Black Prophet, that's a fact. Deadly combination, y'all got it at.
Welcome back to another episode of Do I Look Sick?
We are finally back in the studio.
Yes, woo!
We're super excited.
Fan.
Oh my gosh.
Because we're so excited to be back in the studio. So I know y'all have probably had an interesting summer. I hope you guys have taken note of some of the things that we talked about in our previous episodes of Do I Look Sick on how to make this a fantastic and COVID-safe summer. So,
all right. Well, today we're going to get into talking about school and our kids going back to school amidst this pandemic and what your thoughts are about that. So, if you want to tune in and be a part of the conversation, you can reach us at 470-251-4647, and we're just going to get started with this conversation because I know everyone's talking about it amongst themselves anyway.
Right. So I know it was a little rocky just ending the school year because we were thrown into virtual learning, and it was a huge adjustment for everybody, the parents, the teachers, and the students.
Yeah.
And I think the frustration of being thrown into that predicament without any real preparation just added to
stress.
Yes.
We just weren't prepared for that. Like, you know, when we stopped, it was like, okay, well, we'll see what's going to happen. But we weren't prepared for that, you know, March 15th to be, I don't know if that's a date, I'm just picking something, right. But we don't know if that is, you know, we didn't know that was going to be it, like the end of the school year for the seniors and, you know, people graduating from college and all that kind of stuff. It was just kind of like, let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We didn't expect this still being at home, you know, months later and still dealing with this. I know I didn't.
Right. I don't think, like you said, I don't think any of us did. And a lot of us expected to go back into fall semester with everything back to normal. But like we discussed previously, I don't think that things will go back to a normal per se. It's just a matter of creating a new normal around this virtual learning, work from home type of environment I think it's very forward moving. It kind of sucks that it took this pandemic to get to that point, but maybe it'll put some things in motion going forward. So
yeah, because I know we're talking about schools and everything, but how many employers were like, oh no, we can't have you work from home, we don't have a program like that. And then when we were behind the 8 ball, everyone pretty much was working from home. So it's changed the way we think about how we are able to move in our lives, and we need to kind of get with the times and make this school year the best for our kids that we possibly can.
Right. And I can attest to asking my job, can I work from home, before I had to actually leave, and I was told no. So now, guess what? Everybody's working from home now.
Right.
So, and that just, I don't know. Well, I guess it would have been easier for me now if they had approved that, because I feel like regardless had have stayed or my current situation, I kind of feel like I've been preparing for this moment for the last 4 years or so. So, and I know people do different. The kids and the students and the parents do different versus virtual versus traditional schools.
Like for some kids, that's not really the best way for them to learn, but for some other kids, they thrive off of learning virtually. They don't have the distractions of the other students, they don't have the distraction of whatever is going on with their home life, and bringing that to school. They can be in their own space and be a little bit more comfortable and be okay, because I know like some kids may be embarrassed about being smart. Now there's no one around you to judge you, so you can just do your best and don't have to worry about trying to fit in or any of those things that kids may be worrying about. I'm not a kid now, so I don't know what they have going on. Worries. Yeah.
Besides bullying and those type of problems are, because even now a lot of them, I won't say a lot, but you hear people in that age range dealing with suicide now. So it's a lot, and you don't know what their home life is like while we're in this pandemic. So it's I'm sure it's really rough for some, but some are doing okay and thriving in this virtual learning capacity. So did your district do a traditional, hybrid, and virtual kind of sample?
So our county sent out a survey to kids, parents, teachers, to basically gauge how we're feeling about sending our children back to school, back on the bus, all that kind of stuff. And they've decided to completely start online on August the 17th, and then reevaluate it on a month-by-month basis. Okay. So that's what they're going to do. And I'm comfortable with that, because my main thing was, there's a couple of points that were concerning to me. Like, I am a parent who is able to take my child to school, because the bus situation is, scary. It is. Because there's so many kids where some of them are sitting in the aisleway on the bus. So there's no way they could have possibly social distanced on the school bus. And so I'm blessed in that I could have taken my son to school, but I don't know about everyone else.
Yeah, and that's not everybody's situation. And we can take my niece to school. At one point, she would venture out with the bus, but like you said, I don't even feel comfortable sending her back to school, because for one, even the adults in the grocery store don't follow the social distancing rules and the mask requirements. So I really don't expect grade school, whether it's high school, middle school, or elementary school, to implement, to really, how would they reinforce that type of stuff? So it's really scary.
So kids like being around each other, and and in high school, they have their boyfriends, their girlfriends. They want to be close to them.
Yeah.
In elementary school, they may not really understand personal space.
Yeah.
And if they're, in a special needs class or something like that, how can you, that they thrive off of pattern and routine.
Right.
So now, maybe a teacher who always hugged them every day, they can't hug them anymore. And like, how would they adapt to it? So, I mean, beyond just the social distancing and the cleaning, because I can attest to the fact of going to my son's school and there just not being soap in the bathroom or not being hot water. And now you're going to tell me that it's definitely going to be there. And my son is always talking about, well, Mom, you're my priority. I don't want to go to school and bring anything back. Like during flu season, if someone remotely sick is near him, he's like, get away. Like, I'm not taking that to my mom.
Right. And I can completely understand that. It's just, I don't expect them to really reinforce a lot of these social distancing and the requirements and the sanitation.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Think about like lunch or changing classes, or some schools aren't designed to have like one hallway be one way and another hallway be another way, or one stairwell be up and one stairwell be down, or it may take the kids longer to get to classes if you're doing it. Like, I was thinking about things from all of those perspectives.
And I think one of the meetings that we had, when they spoke about lunch, they would still eat in their classrooms.
Yeah.
So they would be in the classroom, I want to say in the same classroom from the time that they get there till the time that they dismiss.
So now, my thought about that, is that going to change? I mean, we already know the quality of school lunch isn't all that wonderful. So is that going to change the quality if they're getting like brown bag lunches? Because I think that's what my county said they were going to do. And, if that's the case, there are a lot of kids, in Title I schools who depend on free lunch and free and reduced lunch programs. So would they be suffering as far as their nutrition?
Right.
I mean, I know during the summer they have been sending, one of my parent friends said that every day at the same time she would hear like a blowing of the horn, and it was a school bus coming in the neighborhood to drop off food and meals to the neighborhood kids. So would their nutrition suffer with the whole COVID thing and not being able to physically go to the lunchroom and stuff like that?
Yeah, but even now, I guess they would have to figure it out, because even now some of them are suffering because they don't have enough food at home.
Right.
So whereas when they were at school, they were getting meals,
at least breakfast and lunch.
Right. So it's like now they're at home, and
are they eating?
Right. So let's hear your thoughts. We're just gonna switch, not really topics, but we want to hear your thoughts. 470-251-4647. What has been discussed amongst your school district? I think at this point it's really all pretty much the same now. The virtual learning is just a matter of when they start. I think my niece's district starts August 24th. Not I think, but they start August 24th with a full virtual learning as well.
Okay. What are they going to do? Are they going to do what our county is doing and reevaluate it, or?
I don't recall him saying it'll be reevaluated, but he did say that it'll be on a quarter system.
Okay.
So basically, normally they take 8 classes, 4 different ones per day. Well, they'll take 4 classes for the entire semester. They'll have that, quarter at 1 will be 1 and quarter 2, and then they switch, on the quarters 3 and quarters 4. They take the other 4 classes. So they'll do it like that instead of having all 8 classes in one semester. And regardless of they go back or not, in the spring of 2021, they'll still be on that system. They'll probably reevaluate it because the way he spoke, no one's sure what it's going to look like in the last quarter of this year.
Yeah.
So he's mainly speaking of the first quarter of the school year. I kind of think it might just be easier to finish out the whole semester this year on virtual learning instead of splitting in between.
And then trying to transfer in mid-year or whatever. Yeah.
Just finish out. If you started one way with the semester, just finish it out with that semester and switch gears for the next semester. So, but I thought that was a good way to break up the classes, and it doesn't stress the students out with worrying about all those classes at one time. They can focus on just those 4 classes, especially just trying to adjust to the virtual learning.
Yeah.
So,
but I think though, if they're going to, continue to push the virtual learning, I mean, I know people who are teachers, so I don't want to put them down at all, because I understand that that's a really difficult job to have, and especially being thrown into such like a whirlwind. Mm-hmm. But I hope that they've had enough time to properly plan it out so that the kids who need additional help can get it, or there's a set rubric for the activities that they're requiring them to do, mm-hmm. and that there's actual teaching going on, because our district had just pretty much worksheet, mm-hmm. like do this online, do this online, do this online, but there was no avenue to ask for help if you didn't understand the work. And I found that was faulty. That was kind of terrible for students who didn't understand the work and needed, who were before going to tutorial regularly or what have you.
Right. They did speak of morning tutorials. So basically, and what I did like is the morning announcements via Instagram. Okay. That my niece's school, her principal did. I did like the morning announcements on Instagram Live, and of course you can go back and watch them in case you missed it, especially for the parents. So I did like that. They implemented breaks in between, so they're not sitting at the computer
like all day.
Yeah, the whole time. So I really like those because we got a sample schedule. So yeah, I do. I'm just trying to think back of
like everything that they had.
Yeah, yeah. But I hope that, and because our district starts August 24th, and we have an idea of what's going on, I really hope and I believe that the teachers at least are starting to prepare something for the fall semester if they haven't already.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess he's called like our parent liaison at the school. He was saying that
we have a caller.
I'll hold that thought. Don't pick it up. Say hello.
You did.
I did. Well, we lost that, so call back next time. We won't pick it up.
Sorry.
We'll push the button.
It's been a minute, so we just need a refresh on how to work this phone again. So
that's hilarious. Whoever you were, we want to hear what you had to say.
Right, I'm sorry. I'm used. Look, we still have a house phone at home, so I'm used to just picking up the phone.
So I'll finish that thought, and maybe they'll call back and talk to us.
Okay.
But our parent liaison was saying that he is working harder now that he's not in the school because he's moving so much stuff to like Instagram and Facebook and trying to make sure people are actually getting the information and trying to, keep the school spirit going and have the students involved and have the bands involved and all that kind of stuff. So he's like, I think I'm working harder now that, you know, we're doing everything virtual as opposed to, you know, regular brick and mortar. So
Right. So have they figured out the athletics in your district?
So they want to do football, but I'm not understanding how yet it's gonna work. And I think maybe a parent said on and you know, I'm a band parent, so I'm biased. But this parent was like, "Well, who's gonna come to the game if the band's not there?" So I was like, "That's very true. Who is gonna come to the game if the band's not there?"
Right.
And I think they were like, "Oh yeah, you know, the bands are our moneymaker, so we have to do what we got to do and see if we can get these kids in the band camp because they're not conditioned right now."
Yeah.
You know, by this time, my son probably would have been in 2 band camps or would have been working for half the summer by now.
Right.
So they're just trying to figure out how to do it. Now they're saying, first they were saying there would be marching bands, and then they said, okay, well, no marching bands. So I don't know. We're ready either way because, you know, when they're practicing and when they're outside, they're already socially distanced by like 5 feet or whatever. The issue comes more so when they need to go into the band room. So they're talking about like their sectionals, you know, just doing maybe one section at a time. All right, let's try that again, Mia.
I'm gonna let you.
You gonna let me do it?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let her handle it.
You're on the line with SCA 365.
Hello.
Hello.
You're on the line.
Hello?
You're on the line with Sickle Cell Awareness 365.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I was calling just to talk about, you know, what my son's school has. They have the option still
Okay.
to go to school or not, and we're kind of on the fence whether to send him back or let him stay at home.
Now,
You know, with him having sickle cell.
Okay, that was my question. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
So what's your like main concern about sending him to school versus, you know, staying at home?
Well, he also has a brother who doesn't have sickle cell, and they go to the same school. So on one hand, I feel like there's a chance he could be exposed anyway with his brother going back and forth.
Yeah.
And I actually talked to a nurse on his sickle cell team, and she said that they were using some sort of protocol and that just based on his history, he might be okay, but to wear the mask.
Okay.
But there's just so much uncertainty. You just never know.
Yeah.
You know? But I do feel like having done the virtual learning, you know, that we just went through, I feel like he learns better in the classroom.
Yeah.
And so that's why I want him to go. The option is there for him to go, but I just don't know if it's the best decision for him to go based on his health.
Yeah. It is so much uncertainty, and unfortunately we are not getting
all the information to make the best decisions.
Thank you. So thank you. I think that's a worry with a lot of us, even the parents who have sickle cell and the kids that have nothing, just have the trait. So thank you so much for calling and letting us know your thoughts.
I hope you figure it out and that he has a good school year regardless of what the choice you make is.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank
I'm glad you guys have
calling.
this outlet. I'm watching with my son.
Oh, good. I'm glad they're watching.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Yeah,
All right, we did it without hanging up on someone.
I know. I'm gonna let you handle that. So yeah, I think that's tricky as well for the parents with sickle cell and the kids that
Yeah.
either have the trade, or in my case, my niece doesn't have anything. She does not even a trade. However, she's with me and my mom, who also has an
Underlying.
right. So it's really tricky. She liked the online school anyway. She liked virtual learning anyway, but it still was a thought for me and my mom to consider. Like, wait a minute, do we want to send her
Right.
out there? Them kids ain't gonna listen. Them kids
Right.
be turning up already. So I already know.
And I
They're
think it's
not.
kind of unfair, to teachers, like, especially in districts where the classes are overpacked,
Yeah.
and now you want me to enforce these rules, be able to teach. I'm already having difficulty teaching my students because, maybe they're not really interested in learning or what have you. They're interested in more of the social aspect of school. So now we're putting like this extra layer of responsibility on teachers.
Right.
And I'm concerned about that too. I'm concerned about teachers' mental health. I'm concerned about the kids' mental health. I'm not going back to school, and I mean, they're already all in their phones as it is, and I'm not gonna say socially inept, but they spend a lot of their time doing things socially that in our period would have been more antisocial.
Right.
And not being able to be in a classroom could be a trigger for somebody, or not help them with their social development,
Right.
especially younger kids.
Yeah.
Like elementary school kids.
And a friend of mine, me and her were talking earlier, and she mentioned, especially knowing how kids are, period, not even just her kids, especially in elementary, it's like, hey, I haven't seen you in so long, I missed you.
Right.
I just want to hug on them. That's what kids do. So, or even when it's down to the cold season, and how they just take their hand and wipe
Spread
their
it
nose
everywhere.
and just go back to playing. Can I borrow your pencil, or whatever the case is? So it's just so much to really consider. It's just crazy. Something else that our principal talked about is having time slots for kids to come in and pick up their books or any supplies that they need to get from the school. Even our district, they haven't even been able to clean out their lockers from the previous year.
That's
So maybe
weird.
I think the seniors went because they're the
Because
seniors and
yeah.
they're not coming back. But the rest of the students, I
Didn't
think,
get a chance to do it.
no, and I think they also expected the kids to come back. So
No, our students did. We had like slots for each grade to come, and it was over like 2 weeks. They gave all the students opportunities to come and clean out their lockers and get their stuff. But the kids who left school with Chromebooks still have Chromebooks. Some of them need to be repaired, so they have been calling, asking like, what's the state of your Chromebook?
that's good.
So do we need to get you a new one? Do you have one? Whatever it is, so that the kids can be ready. So I'm glad that they've started that,
Yeah.
because I don't want to be one of these parents who at the 11th hour is like August 16th and we don't have a Chromebook. No one's contacted us. We don't know how to get one, or the Chromebook is broken, or what have you. So I'm glad that they've started that now.
Again, we want to hear your thoughts. 470-251-4647. 470-251-4647. And I promise not to hang up on you this time. So yeah, that's good. They've already started that process of making sure the Chromebooks and everything are functioning properly so they can hit the ground running. I think with proper preparation, it makes things so much smoother. It makes it run smoother and less hiccups on the way, especially with this being still new to
And
everybody.
not knowing how long it's going to last, honestly.
And this is what I mentioned earlier, that I think this has shedded some light on opportunities for virtual learning and working from home, across the board. I think it's something that a lot more districts should implement. Maybe some type of virtual learning program within the district, or just connect with a homeschooling virtual learning program that's already in existence, to make that option available for parents, teachers, and students. I think for some of the parents it's easier as well. Maybe some teachers do okay teaching virtually, and just group the virtual learners with the virtual learners regardless of the district, and the traditional learners with the traditional learners.
Yeah, because I mean, places like, we talked about this earlier, but places like Georgia Cyber, K-12, Destinations, Connections Academy, all of those places have been doing online learning, and they kind of have it down pat. Like, they've been doing it for so long. You can probably take a page out of their book, or, maybe not even necessarily have to, because it's free and it's like public school. So, they send them everything they need, because, we did Georgia Cyber for a little while, to get my son kind of caught up to his grade level. They sent us the computer, they sent us the books, the workbooks. They even sent us stuff to, like, do science experiments and, all that kind of stuff. And so with my son, I was talking to him, and I was like, hey, there's this other school that is online, primarily about IT. Would you be interested in that if going into 2022, we're still looking like we're sitting at the same type of deal? Because, he's supposed to graduate in 2022. And I'm concerned, and we can talk about this also, but I'm concerned, we have been building up his resume to look attractive for college recruiters. So I wasn't sure initially that they were going to be able to have, any extracurricular activities. And his biggest one is band, and that is a moneymaker, But they were saying that maybe they would start bringing clubs back, possibly little by little. So that's good, because he is in other clubs. And I would feel kind of comfortable with him going to school, because it's like maybe 4 or 5 kids in that club. So it's not, they can social distance, they can do whatever they need to do. And, I know he would feel more comfortable about it. And that club in particular, they've been keeping in contact over the summer. So they can do a lot of their stuff like via FaceTime, YouTube, and all that kind of stuff too. So
that's really good. Yeah, jumping back to the athletic department, I've been wondering how a lot of those kids, are they keeping up with those same conditionings?
I know I've seen members of our football team, like at the track when I walk, but my walking is kind of sporadic, so I don't know how often they've been out there. And I know that some of our 2 drum majors have been practicing this summer out in the heat. But the band as a whole, they haven't been out there conditioning, and that's something that, like, even for like our seniors who are going away to college, who left band and are going on a band scholarship, I'm concerned about even them going, because they would usually come to band camp even though they had graduated, to stay on their conditioning. So I'm concerned about them out there for their first games at these colleges in these old school wool band uniforms, because they're in band uniforms from like the first day in college. And it's hot, I'm concerned about whether or not they've been conditioning and stuff like that. I kind of truly take on all the kids as mine.
I know they were talking about softball tryouts at my niece's school, and starting to implement, or it just at least looking into starting the clubs back to see how they can go about opening things up for the clubs and for some of the sports. I know something that was mentioned was streaming the basketball games. Maybe that's a possibility. And of course, I think that's a good idea, for people who want to participate in school activities. But, well, we can't right now because of everything going on. But just, again, going forward, I think that's a great tool to have, to be able to stream a lot of the sports.
So, did they say anything about how they would be transporting the kids? Like, if it's the football team, are they going to be at one stadium? Are they going to be at multiple?
They didn't go into detail about that. And I know we'll have more once they look into it more. If they're going to open it up for sports, I guess that would be in that conversation. But it sounded like right now they're just considering or just thinking about making that available again for the students. So
I definitely don't envy any of the administration trying to make these decisions, because
yes, Lord.
I'm like, how are they going to do this? And how are they going to do this? And what about this part? And what about that part? And how do they social distance if they're on the bus? And
there's probably a lot of coffee in that room. Because
they're probably pulling out the air.
Yeah.
Going at it. I'm sorry, y'all.
Yes, because I can imagine the chaos. And even going into the colleges, those people who are going back to college or going to college for the first time, we had camp a couple of weeks ago, and one of the girls was a college student, and they're already back in the dormitories.
Yeah, one of my friend's sons, like I said, he's going away. He's going to be in the band, and he's in a dorm, but he's in a room by himself.
Well, that's good.
So I'm like, okay, I can check that off. But my little cousin goes to the same school, and I guess she'll be a junior this year. Sorry if that's wrong, but I think she's a junior this year, but she's going online.
Okay.
But she's got an internship that she's been working on this whole time that we've been out and stuff like that. So this is actually probably good for her because she can continue working at her internship.
Yeah.
And it's a paid internship too.
Oh,
so, and it's in her field. There's so many things that you can do with this time. Yeah. But I am concerned with, the fact that my son's supposed to graduate next year, and I just want him to, not lose any momentum because of this.
That's definitely something to think about, especially for those who are not doing well with the virtual learning. One of the things that concern me is I think the scheduling may be off, because I really don't feel like that the spring 2020 semester, I think a lot of them just passed because they were over it. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that
I honestly agree with you.
Not to say whatever work they did didn't count, but I really think just everybody was over it. So it was like, okay, whatever grades you had when the last time y'all were actually here.
Well, because in our district, they sent out a thing. They were like, okay, so basically, and this was like a month passed, and they were like, okay, so if you had such and such grade by a month before the date they put this thing out, you could basically just have those grades. If you weren't passing, you could continue to do work to increase your grade, or you could just go with these grades that you had from a month ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, dang, it's just like kind of whatever.
Yeah.
And then, we had a scheduling issue that wasn't resolved before we went out in March. So my son is not getting assignments for one of his classes, and he's logging on, and then he finally realizes that something is wrong. and they're like, oh, well, we didn't have you in the right class or something like that. So whenever all the other kids were out on spring break, he was still doing work because for like 2 weeks, basically, he didn't have any work, but that wasn't his fault.
Right.
And it was something that happened even like the semester before. So I'm like, what is the problem here? Where's the disconnect here?
And it's like now the ones who might have fallen behind in spring 2020, when they start in the fall, they can't really pick up where they left off because they're behind still. So it's like they're going to have even more trouble catching up to where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because they didn't get what they really needed before even getting to that point.
Right. And then how is that going to affect them even moving forward from, fall?
Yeah.
And
spring is the trickle down effect.
Right.
It's a domino effect. So it's really something to think about. And I know there were some tutoring resources that I've seen randomly on my news feed on Facebook. That some people are offering tutoring services for those who need it. So I think it's great that those resources are available, and check with your schools or the communities in schools program to see what resources are available for the kids that need the help during this, just period, not even just during.
Because I found a little tutoring situation. I'm part of the Facebook group for my alma mater. And they were asking, like, parents have been asking from now, like, hey, I need a tutor. I'm going to need a tutor. Can you guys give me any resources? So I just kind of been taking the names of some of the resources that they had, just in case we get to the fall and my son needs tutoring and they're not really offering it in the county. I don't want that moment to be upon me and I don't have any recourse of like what to do. And there's so many college kids out there who are doing tutoring or recent graduates. Even one of the places I found, they charge you like a nominal fee for the tutoring, and then they donate the fee to a charity. So I was like, okay, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. I don't mind paying this fee. It wasn't even that much.
That's good.
And the money's going to charity.
That's nice. That's really good. Now, would you trust because of course there's been a lot of talk about a vaccine for COVID-19, and I honestly think at some point it's going to be among the list of vaccinations that your kids will more than likely have to have before enrolling in school.
Like chickenpox.
And even for adults, it's going to be requested that we get the flu vaccine or the pneumonia vaccine every year. I think it's going to get to that point.
So I am not an anti-vaxxer.
Okay. Okay.
People who are, that's their thing. Everybody's, this is America.
Float your boat.
This is America. You can do whatever you want.
Except, never mind. We're not going to go there today.
Right. So I would probably get a vaccine. However, I do not think I would be in line to get the first round of vaccines.
Okay.
And me, I like watching CNN.
Like y'all got to get it right first.
Right. And the doctor was like, yeah, there might be some ones that aren't all that great. The first batch or whatever, but we can kind of keep tweaking it.
Yeah. So
they were like, and if one set comes out and it's not that great and another set comes out, you should get them all. I'm probably not going to do that. But I probably would be in line once the second round came about and we were able to get it, because there's also the ethical implication of who should get it first.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe the most vulnerable should get it first. Maybe, You know, I'm not going to be like Bill and Melinda Gates and be like, black folks need to get it first. But maybe the medically vulnerable people should be able to if they want to.
Right.
And I probably would get my son vaccinated. But again, I don't think I would be lining up for the first batch.
Yeah. I don't know. And I'm going to just leave it at that.
But
I don't know.
I
For
did
me
a flu
personally-
shot too, so and we differ kind of on that.
Yeah.
But I've noticed for me, like when I don't get the flu shot, I always end up getting the flu, and it's really, really bad. So
At the end of the day, people gonna do whatever is best for them. I wouldn't feel comfortable getting it for several reasons.
yeah, I mean, I could definitely understand your reasons. I can like hear them in my head, even though you didn't say them out loud.
She can
I have
hear
that
them.
ESP thing going on. So I could definitely see why some people would be hesitant to get it or would refuse to. And you know, like I said, it's America. Whatever floats your boat, you do it.
Right.
But as for me in my household,
We shall.
get a vaccine the second go around.
Not the first time, second time. Make sure they got it right.
Right.
So I wanted to talk very quickly that BeTheMatch.com has free counseling for people living with sickle cell disease. So please take advantage of that resource. It's free counseling. A lot of times in the black community, period, we don't want to talk about mental health, but it is very real whether you have sickle cell or not. But
And especially during this time where
Yes.
everything is so uncertain.
Please
if
take
people are
advantage.
depressed and spending more time by themselves, this would be an excellent time to take advantage of a free service like that.
Absolutely. And also, there are a couple of workshops going on this week. It's hosted by myself and the Sickle Cell Foundation of Georgia. And we have a young adult living well with sickle cell workshop on Thursday from 6 to 8. Make sure you're following our Facebook page to see the link so you can register. And on Saturday, we are having the 13 to 18 year olds and their parents. So if you are a young adult between 19 and 25 or a child or have a child between the ages of 13 and 18, then just watch out for our Facebook to see the link where you can register. And that is this week, July 30th and August 1st. I think those are the dates. Thursday and Saturday.
Okay. So
I think that's it. Make sure to follow our Facebook, follow our Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and follow our YouTube where you can watch all the previous episodes of Do I Look Sick. We have some fun stuff on there, so just go back and watch, and you'll get the notifications of future episodes.
And of course, we cannot be out of here without thanking our sponsors who have been holding us down for a very, very long time. We always have to give our thanks to them. You got it.
Mr. Moore with the Apex Museum, which is currently still closed right now because of everything, but
You can check them out on Facebook.
absolutely. And when they open up, do not forget to support. We have Miss Tanya Robinson with Kids Stop Daycare and Learning Center, where your kids will get the best in pre-K education, and the Black Professionals Network. So we cannot wait to partner again, with the Black Professionals Network, and maybe make another trip to North Carolina once we
Get the all clear.
right. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yep. Appreciate you guys. Good night.
Deadly combo. Deadly combo. Black Prophet, Charlie Black, AR the Prophet.
AR the Prophet, Charlie Black, a deadly combination. Hold up, I don't think they heard me. I said, AR the Prophet, Charlie Black, a deadly combination. Hey yo, turn me up a little. We good. AR the Prophet, Charlie Black, a deadly combination. It's been long overdue, I know the streets been waiting. Which takes a lot of patience, cause you never rush great. This one's for the record, but going down history in the making. AR the Prophet, Charlie Black, a deadly combination. It's been long overdue, I know the streets been waiting. Which takes a lot of patience, cause you never rush great. This was for the record, but going down history in the making. First it was Elijah Muhammad, now we the honorable Black Prophet. We been in our bag and out of our feelings, securing all the profit. And going outside, don't know what you hearing, so miss me with that gossip. Saying sucker free from option, let someone get out of pocket. Whoa, we come from different walks of life.